let's go ahead and begin. It's 4 o'clock on June 17th, and we're going to begin our meeting of the Senior Center Commission. We don't have anybody from the public here, so can we just, and we've introduced ourselves before to everybody, I believe, so maybe we'll skip that. Let's go on to approve the minutes of the May 20th, 2021 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
I did find two little things. I have to look at my phone because you don't have it up, so I have to look at my phone to find it. I mean, they weren't serious, but they should be corrected. Let me find you. But just take me a second, folks. Sorry.
Okay.
I did find one typo I could mention. In the last paragraph, about midway, Vogel thinks the free bus service of people age 65 probably should be 2 or 4 free bus service for people age 65.
Okay, I found, here's the first one. In the paragraph that begins, Kristen Cromray gave an overview of the senior center's parking program. Centers needs an apostrophe before the S. Got that, Kristen? Senior centers, center apostrophe S.
Got it.
Okay, that was one. And then the other one is also at the beginning of the paragraph, but it may be the one that's already found. Well, oh, it's the beginning of the paragraph that toward the end that starts the other discounted parking option. Are you with me?
Mhm.
It should be is parking validation tickets. It's not a plural. The other discounted parking option is parking validations, which are sold. Currently it says are. It reads the other discounted parking option are. Okay?
Okay,
So
got it.
are should become is. I'm done.
Okay. So does somebody want to move to approve per the Scrivener's errors that were pointed out today?
I'll move.
All right, Lorraine, thank
I'll
you.
second.
And our second eagle eye moves. Thank you. Do we have a anybody? Oh, say aye if you approve. Sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No nays. Sorry, I'm running this meeting horribly today. It's just been one of those weeks. So now that that's done, public discussion for items not on the agenda. Any mention of items not on the agenda? I know we had just briefly mentioned this in the beginning, but talking about when we're going back to in person. So maybe that can be housed though under reopening plans. That way we can talk about it as a group. But yeah, start thinking about when we feel safe, that might fit into what Kristen and Latasha already have planned for us. But any other items? I know that every once in a while we'll talk about when we're going to approach the Johnson County Board of Supervisors and do an update to them. And I had mentioned being willing to do that, and I can't remember what month, but I definitely don't have time until September, October timeframe for sure. And maybe we could make it a part of our 40th anniversary or something celebration. Make announcements. So maybe we'll just talk about doing it around that time. But this month and next month are just busy for me here. Operational overview, that's staff. If we don't have any other items, senior center operations update. Moving along quick.
All right, if y'all moving fast, so am I. Operations, as you all know, we have recently started our phased reopening. So we, the first week, we started allowing folks to come in to work out in the workout facility that we have here on the ground floor. So the second floor is unlocked, as well as the ground floor is currently unlocked. And this week, folks were able to come in, work out without mask if they're in the space, and everybody's okay with that. We're allowing people to take off masks starting next week because the band will be back rehearsing. And so while they are in their space, they can not have masks on, but they are able to rehearse. If you're in public spaces or more public spaces outside of your area, if you're working out or tap or your class, then you're required to wear a mask. It's highly recommended that you wear a mask. We have some things that prevent us from being able to require it, but we strongly recommend that people wear masks in the building. They are not required to, but we are definitely strongly recommending it. Come July 1, we will be fully open. And so all the floors will be open to the public. And individuals will be able to kind of come and go. We are going to try to really push for people to use the Washington Street entrance as well as our Skywalk entrance versus trying to come through. The only other entrance is the one that's actually behind me, which is the alleyway of coming into the building. Some of that is for security, just so we can kind of keep a track of how many people are in the building kind of thing. But those two doors are very accessible for folks. We have recently installed cameras and doorbells at those doors so that when there's less staff in the building or there's weekends and different things that come up in the future, we will be able to see who's at the door. Wait, can we see yet, Kristen? No, we can't see yet, but we can sort of see. We have cameras, but we also have a remote control now where we can open the door. So if you're downstairs and you're locked out on the second floor, we're able to open the door, unlock the door for you. It will immediately lock back afterwards. So that's just for staff safety and for safety of people in the building, just because we have few staff and we just don't always get an eye on who's all in the building. So we're making sure that we're putting in those protocols. And so the front desk will have access to that. We have always had cameras in our building. This allows us to kind of be a little bit more mindful that that is happening in our building, that we have that opportunity to be able to let people in without. This week, anytime someone's in the second floor and they didn't have their key card, I had to leave from the ground floor, go all the way to the second floor, go to the parking, open the door, come back and go back downstairs. So, it's very helpful to be able to just kind of click a button and people can get in versus, leaving that door and then you come back and somebody's standing at that door and can't get in. And so it's very helpful to be able to have the remote control, especially when we have, we don't have a big staff. So as things continue to change, you will see, I don't know if anybody's been in the building since we've opened, but the floor numbers have changed. So an elevator is now ground 1, 2, 3, as well as we've changed all of the numbers on the floors that have changed names so that people are aware that now when you come in on the 3rd floor, the parking ramp, you are officially on the 3rd floor of the senior center. So we made some changes there. The ground floor, if you haven't been in, is on the Washington Street door is now our front desk. There is no more front desk. In the lobby, actually, they're actually pulling it apart. It's almost completely gone. They just have the last piece of it that they have to take down. We have reopened the lobby. When I say open, I mean like all the bookcases are gone. And so it's really just couches and chairs and different things. We're just trying to find better ways for people to be social, and we're trying to utilize our space a little better. You will also notice that the assembly room is mostly set up for public meetings. There is a requirement, and we will be going back in person because there are some changes on the state level that public meetings need to be held in public. So Senior Center had the best setup for City Council and other commissions to meet. There were some microphones, I'm not sure where they went, but I'm sure they're bringing them back. Where it's already set up in there so that when there is City Council meetings, work session, and regular section for a couple of months, they will be housed here in the Senior Center, which I think is wonderful because then we can really be able to look around and see the things that we are going to need some assistance with while they're here. So I'm looking forward to housing them. We always have the little things that we have to kind of twist and make adjustments, but it's just for a couple of months. And so things nothing will go back to the way that they ever were. So let's just really honest about that. But there will be a little bit more normalcy about that space being utilized for classes. It still will be used for classes, but there will be a little bit of adjustment of how we set up the room. The other thing is you'll see gradually over time more hybrid classes, meaning part Zoom, part in-person classes. So people have the option to do both. So if you're registering for classes, you'll have the option to select if you want to take the class online or if you want to select it and take it in person. There'll be capacity for the in-person ones, of course. But we also want to allow people who want access to classes to be able to see it in Zoom. Now, that is a learning curve because a lot of people went from teaching in person to teaching in Zoom. As a person who has taught at the university and I've had students on Zoom and students in front of me, it is very easy to forget the students that are on Zoom if you're interacting with people who are right in front of you. So you have to make a concentrated effort to really concerted effort, to really be like, oh yeah, would you like to add to it, unless they just kind of speak up on their own. So there's a little bit of a learning curve there with our instructors. There's also some delays because some instructors are a little leery of coming back into the building to teach their classes.
Right.
So, and so some classes may only be online. So, we're working through that. There are some people who are beating down the door to come back and have their classes. And then there are others who are reserved, but we want to make sure that we can keep a nice amount of hybrid classes because we do have people who do not live in our state that want to take classes and they want to participate in lectures. And so this allows us to help people maintain their membership all year round, even if they are in Florida or New York or wherever they are, for different seasons, they can still participate in those ways, as well as our folks that, I guess we have international members, so they can still participate as well in some of those classes. So we're working through it. It's going to be a learning curve because some things you just don't know till you're right in the thick of it. So we are trying to do as many things as we can in advance to try to be smooth about it. But I'm expecting some kinks along the way in the chain of command of how things go. So we're just hoping that people will be flexible with us as we learn those things. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on the operations side. The lobby will be at some point by the time we're fully open, I believe, if we move Kristen's desk, which we are moving Kristen's desk, it'll just be the first floor will just be kind of a blank canvas. It'll have some chairs and different things out there. We'll be moving the library down to that first floor so that people can have access on that floor. So it's more of a social, the first floor will turn to more of a social floor. So that's more of our social connections floor that you'll see on that second floor. The third floor, the third floor will definitely be more of our lifelong learning floor. And obviously the bottom floor or ground floor will be our wellness floor. But of course, things can move throughout the building. It's going to be about availability of classrooms, etc. About our ability to do some of those things. Am I missing anything, Kristen? Anything major on the operations end? Since you were operations-
When we come back as a group, will we be in the assembly room or can we still meet on the third floor because of
think we can-
recording requirements?
Right, that's the thing. I think the recording requirements are the thing that we have to figure out. We are welcome, obviously, to use the assembly room since the cameras and different things are already set up in there. And it's kind of fancy, you know, everybody's got their own private bubbles that they have separated out in there for people to have with microphones. And that's the biggest thing, is that if we're filming, that people are able to hear you, that the camera is able to, you know, so we'll figure it out. I think the city's trying to figure it out too, because they're like, we got to film all these meetings now, and we've never had to film all these meetings before, and we only have this much staff, and we got to get to all the meetings, and you know, so it's a lot of things happening behind the scenes. Somebody was like, that should have been open. I'm like, it's a lot of things happening behind the scenes that have to happen before, you know, we can just open the doors. We just got to kind of figure it out. We haven't been in our offices, or we haven't had the building open for 16 months, and that's a long time to kind of get things back going again. And nobody's been through a pandemic, at least like, you know, modern day pandemic. I mean, you know, maybe a long time ago, we've had some major illnesses that have come, but not for this length of time. So this is a new experience for all of us. If you have questions or anything, let me know, but Kristen's gonna add some things.
Well, I was just going to say, maybe talk about the billiards room.
Oh, yes. So the billiards room is currently being, are they finished yet? I don't think they're finished yet.
Close.
They're close. They're close to finishing. We put a fresh paint of coat. I say that every time.
We have that on recording. We have that. That's a blooper.
I know.
Somebody take down 417 on 617.
Yes, it's a fresh coat of paint. I have said paint of coat like 20 times. I do not know why I keep saying that, but anyways, there's some paint in there now, some new paint, and we're going to be putting up some new fixtures and just some things to help people feel welcome when they're coming in to see us and visit with us in that room. And of course, you know, in some of our plans, that room actually gets moved up to the first floor, which will make it more of a social space as well down the line when we get to some of our renovation. And then that room will kind of end up being a little bit more of a fitness room, and we'll stretch out those fitness rooms a little bit more to give people a little bit more space. So we hope, I don't know, I'll give a building 40th anniversary in a little bit, but Kristen, can I share my screen? Is it possible? Can you make me a co-host for 1 second?
Me figure out how to do that. Just 1 second.
What I want to share with you all is I think it's very important that we start considering not only having our, oops, let me make this bigger. Having our mission and vision more visible in our building. But I have also, we had some students do like a racial equity. Can you all see that? Oh, wait, oh, I have 3 screens now. So I never know where I am or where the camera is sometimes. But I also thought it would be really important that we have some form of equity statement or standard that we could have in our building as well, to make sure that not only the staff are aware, but also our members and the public is aware what we are striving for, including our mission and vision. I think it's important that our members and the public know what our vision is. What is our mission as a senior center here in Iowa City? And as well as we should be really clear about that we are welcoming of people from all different backgrounds. So this is something a student and I are working on, and this is not signed, sealed, and delivered. So that's why I'm showing you this is a draft of a draft of a draft, as in it's really in the most draft form. Staff have given me some suggestions about some possible changes, but we were just kind of playing around a little bit with language that made sense, that will encompass who we are as a senior center. So we chose to use the language equity standard, as in this is something that we want to uphold. So that language is strong there on purpose. It says our equity standard is to purposefully embrace inclusion by creating a more equitable, accessible, safe, welcoming, and inclusive senior center where differences are recognized, respected, valued, and celebrated. And so actually that recognized, respected, valued, and celebrated, I think it has even a little bit of the older vision we had a little bit in there, if I can remember. I might be, I think so. But so wanted to show you all this and know that we're working on that statement, and knowing that we also want to have it on our TVs as a screen, but also in our building as something that people are coming in and they're clear that this is what we are about, this is what we're doing, and we want people to feel welcome regardless of how they're different from you and I. And so, but love feedback on that. Like I said, we know we got a couple of too many equitables in there, and too many inclusions and inclusive, but it still gets at what we were trying to get at, but we probably need to do a little bit of a word search on some of those pieces, just clarify that a little better and give a little bit more on what we're trying to say. Thoughts?
I think using like, instead of using senior center, maybe gathering space or like public space. Because I think, don't we do things for people other than seniors? Just, I know it's like it's very draft. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, I think the reason why we specifically put senior center is because it's coming from the senior center. I think if it was coming from the city, it makes more sense to be very specific about like public facilities. But since it's specifically coming from the senior center and how we put out our programming and how we want to put how people we want to receive people and how we want members to receive others. That's why we put that word in there, just for clarification. But that definitely is something I can take back, and we could talk about that a little bit.
And Latasha, I had a small suggestion.
Sure, I'm open.
Differences, I think if we said something like differences in backgrounds and opinions, because sometimes people don't feel that free to speak what they believe when they feel that they're the minority. You know, that their opinions, for instance, left, right, are not respected in a place, or the majority of people there feel differently. So they tend to be silent. So differences in background, that would include differences in, you know, race and ethnicity and so forth, but also of opinions. People feel free to speak what they, and that they be respected.
Okay. So further clarification of what the word difference means.
Right, just going on to say like differences in background and opinions, or whatever language you want to use, but just so that people know that it includes a number of different things.
Okay. Like I say, it's a standard. Now it's hard. This is not easy. What we
No,
wrote.
it's not.
These are beautiful words, but this is difficult.
Right.
But I think it's necessary for us to be so bold to put it out there that we want people to feel this way. We are striving for this, and know that each individual person is going to be different in how they interpret this. So yeah, thank you so much. I have that noted.
I'd make one suggestion too. By creating means it isn't happening yet, that you're not there. Maybe you want to say by being a more equitable, safe, and so forth. It's a little stronger language than creating.
Okay.
And I would put on there, I would probably leave out the word more, because it sounds like it wasn't that. And it kind of, I think, a stronger statement just to say an equitable, accessible, safe, and just leave out the word more.
Okay. So
I like that. Yeah.
technically being equitable, accessible.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Other thoughts? I appreciate this. This is very helpful. It's not final. I'll bring back another version of it for you. But I hope the heart of the message is in there. That's my biggest thing, is that the heart of the message is in there. That we want people to feel welcome here. And so I think that that's really important to say it out loud, not to presume that people know that, because I've talked to many of people and that, you know, they have differences of opinion about this statement. And so that's why we have to definitely work on this. We're not going to be able to do that for everybody, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't strive to, because everyone's going to have a different variables about what this looks like for them. And I still got, you know, laws and policies and stuff to say, nope, you can't do that, Latasha. So, but yes, wanted to bring this to present it to you all as a part of our operations of some work that we're doing internally, and want to share with you all and get your feedback and hopefully down the line get you all's final stamp and approval on what that statement is as representative of the Senior Center in our work towards making sure that we're inclusive.
So what if somebody's not meeting this standard? So let's say someone is berating someone for their religious beliefs publicly. Is there an action behind this to maintain this inclusive environment, or is it just a statement? I mean, like, what would you do in those situations?
We have a code of conduct, and
Okay.
I'm currently writing the procedures on how that is. But in I don't remember, I don't know if you remember the code of conduct policy, but in the code of conduct policy, it kind of states like you get a warning, and if you can't, you know, if you can't warning, then you can get suspended for so many days. And if that doesn't work, you can get suspended for even more days. And then, you know, if it kind of ticks up that way. And trust me, as a person that has had to be the deciding person about, is this appropriate behavior? It is tough, right? Because you're getting two sides to the story. And, you know, in the end, you end up going, you know, well, how about everybody take a little break? And then we come back and resume. You come on Tuesday and you come on Wednesday, and then, you know, we resume in that way. And so, but I think that's important, that there are consequences here at the Senior Center when there is behavior that is not upholding to our code of how we want to interact with one another. And it's there for a reason. And we have had to utilize that from time to time, not very often, but from time to time. And so when we're getting into something like this, this will be challenged by people. This will be. And it's tough. This is a tough one because this is also the standard we have to hold our instructors to, members, and everyone. And sometimes we're not always in those classrooms and we don't know what's being said. And so we have to deal with that after the fact, of course. And sometimes people don't let us know that's even happening. And so then it's like, you know, 2 months later, and they're like, oh, you know, this happened. I'm like, well, it's hard to go back and address it, but still needs to be addressed. Yes.
Is there like reporting procedures that maybe could be put into place, like veiling someone's name, just, you know, to be able to report things that might be suspect?
Usually when people have issues, they usually leave me a note in our boxes around the building, and I collect them, and I try, if they want me to contact them, then they do. But if it's a complaint about an individual person, I usually try to follow up them and go, hey, you know, I don't know the whole story here. Can you tell me a little bit about the situation? And I try to talk through with them and then be really clear about what our standard is here about how we have this. And sometimes people are like, I didn't do that. I'm like, I understand that. I understand that's the perspective you give it. I think this is how it was received. And so how can we handle this differently in the future? It's kind of the conversation that I have to have with people, especially if I don't have if I only have like a note and I'm like, you know, but some people will leave me their name and their address, all their emails, their phone number. I'm like, okay, I'll make sure I call you back and, you know, spend some time on the phone and figuring that out. But you know, that's my job, right? So I have done that in the past and will continue to do that as we continue to strive to make sure that everyone feels important. Sure.
It's always good to have values statements like this so that you can lean on that. It's like a blueprint, like you can check off, yeah, you violated this one, and this is what we expect of you. So yeah,
it's hard. It's hard when I think it's hard. It's one thing when people know mission and visions and standards and different things exist. It's another thing where you're being really bold about putting it out there. as a reminder to people, because it becomes more real and more tangible versus this thing that sometimes you see at the bottom of your program guide. It becomes like, this is what we believe, and we're striving for that. And if anything, this pandemic has allowed me to see the value in mission and vision statements, because it allowed us to stay focused, to keep the ship steered in a direction that worked well for folks, even when we couldn't be in person. And, this is also something that I want to incorporate in our work, that we're making sure that we're trying to do this to the best of our ability. Fall down, probably some places, we'll fall down some places in our mission and vision too, but getting back up and trying to strive for this is important. Okay, I've said too much. Other questions? I don't want to belabor.
So Latasha, does everyone get, will everyone get like the equity standard and the code of conduct? Do they get that when they join?
And that's another thing that I was saying. I was like, where is it? How do people find it? So we do currently have our code of conduct on our website. Is it on our website? Yeah, I made sure we put it on our website. If people had any questions about what our code of conduct is, that it's there. And that's another reason why I'm posting our mission and vision and equity standards, so that people can see it. It's going to be on the TVs. You can see it. So, I know we all are clear on what it is. And then we can find some place to post the code of conduct. I think the most important places for that to be is probably like the assembly room, the billiards room, maybe our exercise room or something like that. You can put it up, make it look nice. Put it up, just because those are places where people are at a lot and they're doing more interaction. I'm getting myself for a second.
Yeah, so when I have people sign up for our dog park, I make them read all the expectations of behavior that I have for them and sign off on those. I call it acknowledgements. So that's an idea too. And they have to they get handed a packet of rules and regulations and requirements as well. So I can say, if you're misbehaving, you signed off on this thing, you are acknowledged, you read it. So it's on you. I don't know.
Do you have to do that very often?
Oh, they do it for every time somebody purchases a dog park pass, every time somebody purchases a pet license, every time somebody applies for the North Liberty Transportation Assistance Program, all these things, they have to acknowledge a bunch of stuff that I tell them.
Do you have people who cause problems and where you do? Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah. So, Latasha, I feel, it's just, humans. Everybody has bad days too, people just have rough days and
we haven't had to have, I don't feel, and even with some of the situations that have been even, I wouldn't say extreme, but have been tougher, I still haven't felt that I have needed to go. I'm thankful for them social work skills. It's like, okay, I'm able to be empathetic about what's happening, but also have to uphold a certain standard, and people get that. And most of our members, I think they understand it's a public space and they have rights, but then they also know that we have to be in a space that's comfortable for everyone. And so for the most part, I haven't had to technically enforce code of conduct. In my last 3 years, I've had to remind people like, hey, we have a way in which we want to interact with one another, and this might not be it. And for the most part, people will hear that. And if people get mad at me, they usually just write my boss a note, or they write one to the city council, and I just go, okay, but I know I did the right thing according to what we have right here. So, all right, if I ever just end out on the streets, just know I must have broke some rule. But for the most part, I try to adhere to what we have for the most part. I mean, all the time, actually, not most part, but really just try to work with people where they are, because we're dealing with people with different conditions. Trying to be mindful of that as well. Okay. Yeah.
All right, so moving on.
Yes.
Okay. So the senior center operations updates are all over then, I'm assuming. Commission discussion. So senior center master plan discussion. Is there anything to update us on that, or are we good?
Nope. I'm not really. We're still waiting for them to get back to us for kickoff dates. I'm not sure what the delay is exactly, but there's been something happening over at the firm, and it's not on our end. Like they have all the documents and everything. Last time they didn't have all the documents. This time they have all the documents and everything is in their lab. So we're just waiting on an architectural firm to come up with some dates so that we can get together and start getting this moving. But that's about the only update I have on that.
All right. Anybody have anything that they want to discuss about that at this point? All right. 40th anniversary updates. Party.
Yes, so I believe that we are going to, we haven't decided on if we're going to do something outdoors or indoors, or we're going to do a combination of outdoors and indoors. We are thinking about doing a full week of celebration for the 40th anniversary, partnering with some of the city departments. For instance, we know the Sunday before the week of our anniversary is Grandparents' Day, so we're considering partnering with the Iowa City Public Library and trying to see if we can pull something together about Grandparents' Day, but also just remembering the Senior Center and our 40th anniversary as part of our celebration. We will have 4 banners up downtown. Right now we're working on what the language will be. We got pretty close to what the language will be, and so we're waiting for some drafts back, I believe, from a local artist that will give us some ideas of what the banner will look like. And I think that was about it. Our ultimate goal is Thursday. I think Thursday is our anniversary. We want to do kind of like 40th birthday, like almost like birthday celebration in some ways. And so we want to end the week or end the celebrations with a movie. So we were looking at movies that came out 40 years ago, right? So we're trying to come up with movies. And the funny is, and so far the front runner, but we want to definitely touch with our other committees, etc., is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. But I was like, is there any cultural issues here? You know, we're just trying to dig into it. We want to make sure whatever we put out obviously is not offensive to anyone. But it was just kind of funny. And also that we actually have a connection to Harrison Ford. And we're hoping that maybe if we play his movie, we will get him to do a little welcome before the movie starts when we have that. So we'll see. We'll see. No promises. But we would definitely have some really fun and some cool things that we'll have planned. And we'll need you all's help to come out as commissioners so you can have your little name tag on and just represent us out at the events that we're having. And obviously you could come to all of them, but some of them would just be like kits that people can pick up kind of thing and, tag us in your picture kind of thing. But then we'll have an in-person celebration on that day. So probably some cupcakes or something and who knows, some cookies or something, cookies and punch, nothing, no sirloin steaks, nothing like that. Something to the point that the public can come celebrate our anniversary with us. That's about it.
All right. Awesome. And it looks like Grandparents' Day is Sunday, September 12th. So, and then it would be that Thursday after that,
Yeah.
the 16th.
Yeah.
That is also Johnson County's welcoming week. So
Oh,
I might be busy. I might be busy that week.
Go
We're
figure,
holding-
but what can we do, right? We'll see if we can combine some efforts there.
All right, so that's awesome. Reopening plans, the next item. So I know Kristen had mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, I think even before we started, she mentioned to me that meetings are now being recorded and all of them. And you had mentioned in-person requirements now beginning. So does that mean reopening also brings this group back this next month?
Yes, in July, we will begin in-person meetings back at the building.
And if people in this group are not comfortable meeting in person, are they able to then Zoom in? Does the bylaws allow that?
The biggest thing is that it has to be recorded. So I think we just have to figure out that hybrid situation if there really is someone that's just, doesn't want to come down to the building, etc. I think we have to be flexible. I mean, we just do. Like, this is a whole new world, and so we have to be flexible about how we do this. But we definitely know that we have to at least have some people in the chairs for public meetings, for public people to be able to come to a location, and it has to be recorded.
Yeah, I think
I for one would prefer to be able to Zoom in because I don't feel, even though I've been vaccinated, I know everyone who will be coming into the center has not been vaccinated. We have no way of monitoring it.
Mhm.
And you said we can't even enforce masks, right? So, it's like I don't want to go inside a restaurant. I'm willing to eat outside, but I'm not willing to go inside because I don't know who's been vaccinated and who isn't when they're all without masks.
Mhm.
And, I'm in a group that's highly vulnerable, even though I've been vaccinated. So I would strongly prefer to be able to not come into the building.
No, understandable, completely understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to be able to manage that and give everybody that choice without them feeling that they're putting anybody out, like,
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
so.
So we'll figure it out. We'll probably have, I mean, and honestly, I think there are a ton of people that prefer to just be at home and be able to click on a Zoom link and be involved.
No
in the
kidding.
conversation. I mean,
Easy.
honestly, for myself, even, other public sessions, it's like, oh, I can be there, but like, I don't have to go to Phoenix, to participate in this. I think it helps folks that wouldn't financially be able to do things. Like, I'm saying, it really has opened up some opportunities that we never thought that we would have. And the pivoting has been eye-opening in so many ways and really has like shattered a lot of disbelief that people have had about their ability to be able to adjust to technology. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll see what
So-
we can do to set something up to see how we can make that work.
Maybe that's something that if you feel like you would rather do Zoom, contact Kristen and she'll get you connected. We'll troubleshoot something. We'll test it out.
Mhm.
I'm willing to be the test subject and run a meeting, pretend meeting or something to make sure that everything works and that you're able to interact, because we also want you to be able to give us all of your insight too and communicate with us. So, yeah. Anything else as far as that goes?
Not that I know
All right. Well, I have nothing else. And there's nothing else on the agenda. So if we're done, anybody have anything to say? Linda's tapping her screen, so I don't know if no.
No, I was just
Okay.
tapping it. It came up weird on my iPad.
Okay, I didn't know you were trying to like unmute.
Yeah.
And I will be there in person next month, and those of you who are able and willing and all that to join us, please do. If not, yeah, definitely contact Kristen and we'll get you connected.
Great.
We want to make that option available for sure.
Yeah.
Especially for this group. Yeah, totally, Lorraine. I want to keep you safe. That's priority. If nothing else, I'm gonna move to adjourn.
Okay.
And we'll be done at 4:44 p.m. And I will see you next month.